nobody can sell anyone anything. You're always selling it to yourself. So if you not help the other one to sell it to themselves, how are you going to sell it? And you need to be really lucky that I'm actually looking for it at that moment.
Did you know that 91% of phishing attacks are conducted via email? Freight brokers are particularly at risk as email is the primary, really only option to collect carrier invoices, until now. ePay Manager powered by OTR Solutions is a back office automation and carrier payments platform that revolutionizes brokerage back offices with their proactive invoicing workflow, a centralized portal that gets you out of your email. The key to ePay's invoicing workflow is that the invoice is proactively triggered by the broker's TMS and is only created once the carrier reviews the details, which catches invoice disputes early on. This means that you can increase your invoice processing by up to 300 to 500% and reduce billing inaccuracies by 99%. Learn more about ePay by visiting epaymanager.com or text ePayFC to 80483 to see what they can do for your brokerage. This podcast is also brought to you by Highway, the carrier identity platform that's revolutionizing how freight brokers fight fraud. Every day, new threats emerge, but with Highway's robust tools, you're always one step ahead. Last month alone, Highway stopped over 54,000 fraud attempts, solidifying its role as a trusted partner to over 600 3PLs. Highway stands as your shield against the threat of stolen identities, double brokering, data breaches, and more, ensuring that your operations are secure and your transactions are safe. So, if you want to focus on what you do best and leave the worries of fraud behind, it's time to partner with Highway. Visit highway.com now to book a demo. Highway. It all starts with carrier identity. Struggling to find and retain qualified staff while keeping costs in check? In today's competitive logistics landscape, this challenge can make or break your bottom line. Ameripol offers a solution that helps reduce staffing costs by over 50% without sacrificing quality. Born out of logistics, they understand transportation industry demands. They provide talented EU-based professionals who seamlessly integrate with your team, allowing you to scale operations efficiently. Don't let staffing challenges hinder growth. Optimize your workforce and boost profitability with Ameripol. Visit transport.ameripolstaffing.com to discover how Ameripol can help your business operate more efficiently. We've partnered with Ascend TMS, the world's most popular and top-rated transportation management system. It's the ultimate tool for all your freight needs. You can use our referral code RA-FreightCaviar! To receive 3 months of Ascend TMS for free. It only takes 20 seconds to sign up and no credit card is required. You can click the link below to learn more.
We're currently in Eindhoven, Netherlands. Here, this is like in the southeastern part of the country. It's got a population of around 220,000 from what I checked. It's a really cool city. From like what I like about it is that it's a city like where you have, you know, all the stores, restaurants, beautiful walkways, parks. But it's also like a very calm place where if you go to Amsterdam, you know, it's very hectic. There's a lot of tourists. There's a lot of people all, you know, doing crazy stuff. Whereas here it's like really calm and beautiful. And it's also a city. So you get like a lot of things going on. Like Philips is from here. You have the Philips Museum.
That's a tinker right there, that man.
And we're here at the CtrlChain headquarters. CtrlChain they have an offices in Eindhoven. This is where they began. They have an office also in Barcelona. And lastly, they opened up an office in Chicago about a year and a half ago.
January last year.
January last year, yeah.
The 23rd, Michael Jordan Day, we call it.
Let's go.
Awesome. Love that. And we're going to be talking here about their expansion into the U.S., but first about their beginnings in Europe here in Eindhoven and kind of talking about that and why they expanded into the U.S. market. We'll talk about like the differences between the EU market and the U.S. market. But I guess before we do all that and have an interesting conversation, real quick introductions from Gio and GJ, who has an impossible Dutch name to pronounce.
Yes.
But
that's only my first name.
It ain't impossible. Hartman.
Close. But call me GJ.
GJ.
Cool.
Gio, if you'd like to go first.
Yeah, definitely. So as said, I'm Giovanni. I actually have been in logistics since I started my official working career. I think it was 18. And I really started as a operational traineeship, creating airway bills, bill of ladings, buying and selling from airlines and shipping lines, working a lot with the US and Asia. as a sort of hub here in Amsterdam, Schiphol, to get inbound and outbound out. From there, I rolled into warehousing, had the opportunity to set up several warehouses.
Still at UPS?
No, I was not working UPS yet.
Ah, okay. So
I started in UPS, I think, in 2014.
Okay.
And I think I started 2011 in logistics.
Got it.
Or 12.
Okay.
So
you were at smaller, like mom and pop type businesses before that, or
I started in MIQ Logistics, former Yellow Group.
okay.
And yeah, I worked in the Amsterdam Schiphol office, and we were there, I think, with 15 people.
Sweet.
But yeah,
Cool.
I was completely blue in logistics, so it was really like learning everything on the job and on the go. And from there, yeah, went into warehousing, first B2B, and then went to another American startup, Fab.com. They were really big. They were growing insanely. They mainly sold flash articles. So every day they came up with 100 new items, and they only had limited editions. So every day it was like flash sales. But they decided to swap to inventory stock sales. And I helped operation within the supply chain to churning it from flash to inventory. So with a small group of people, we set it up the warehouse here in Europe for the European distribution. And from there, as we did a lot of parcels, I got in contact with UPS and started working for UPS in my first commercial kind of role. And there's actually where I started to
That's where the paths cross.
Yeah.
he didn't hire me. Probably that's also the good thing. But he became my first sales manager to show me all the ropes of a big company, but also in sales.
Nice.
From picking up the phone and trying to get that first appointment to closing the deal.
Is that customer sales for brokerage or different type
No,
of sales?
yes, it's pure parcel. And
Okay.
we were responsible for the air and ocean freight as well.
Oh, got it.
Commercially. So that was it. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool. I'm sorry if I can just dig a little deeper there. So what kind of sales is that? Like pure parcel is that?
Yeah, parcel express. So that's international, domestic, pan Europe. So ground and express parcel.
Okay, people that are in the LTL game, they probably understand that.
Well, I think it's pallets. I think UPS there, so we're FedEx, TNT, DHL. They also do pallets. I think UPS is the weird guy in Europe. They do parcel only.
Okay.
It takes some smaller. So it was real parcel.
Okay.
And then we were responsible for clients shipping as from, I would say, 20, 30 parcels a day, up to a lot. You know,
Nice.
So,
It's typically like B2C, like businesses selling some
no, our
products.
B2C is not in their sweet spot.
Oh.
So there are sweet spots, B2B, manufacturing, healthcare, so those type of industries. B2C is to
High value.
So in average, they delivered, I don't have it on top of my mind anymore, but in average for a B2B, they deliver between 1.5 to 2 packages per stop. A B2C is 1. And then you need to come back because people are not at home. You couldn't just leave the package at the door.
Yeah.
This is also why they acquired Kiana, which is a network of pickup drop-off points. Back in, what was it?
That's your 20.
12. But then we went live.
Yeah, that was 15. I did the commercial integration in Belgium. Yeah.
Okay. And that was a company called Kiana, you said?
Kiala.
Kiala, and that's
Yeah.
that was a Dutch company? Or
There was a Belgium.
Oh, Belgium company, okay.
Yeah.
They had like those drop-off points where you could pull like
Exactly,
in a
yeah.
box and... Or,
Now the UPS access point.
oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
In Poland, we have
yeah.
Impulse.
In post.
Yeah, it's like they're one of the richest Polish people
Yeah.
now because you like
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
Poland. Okay, very cool. So this is where you met at
Yeah.
UPS,
Yeah.
doing that together. And that was 2014 to 2017, Joe, when you were at UPS here in Amsterdam. Or
In the Netherlands. So in 2017, we parted ways. I was already playing with the idea of starting a company myself. The red line in all the experiences what I had in, funny enough, all American companies, big ones, is that they are so big that it's really difficult to have alignment from the top to the bottom. and then collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone has their own goals on a country level, for sure. Here in Europe, all different P&Ls, all different people of different journeys, trying to stay close or follow the overall arching strategy of the corporate,
Which is to make money.
which is make money. Fair, true.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everyone should be in it. But if it's your first focus, or will the money follow? And I think that's also a big mindset shift in the different generations, which are now sort of the decision makers, and also now getting slowly into the newer DMUs and also the next generations who want to make impact and be part of a journey, and knowing what is going to happen with certain things.
Which is make money with a purpose, kind of, and do something, impactful, cool.
And what I really experienced, that it was really difficult to collaborate within the company itself already.
Because it was so big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But imagine if you look at Europe, but also in the US, there are so many trucking companies. The market is really fragmented, all different languages, and everyone is in their own mindset, or I need to make bottom line as much money as possible. How are we going to align that with each other? And why are we all thinking in processes, and do we want to have the processes more efficient? Because if it's more efficient, it's less costly. But we are all doing that in our own kingdom, or
in our own little bubble, etc.
So how can we connect all those companies with one purpose? And I think there in Europe, at least the European government is quite ahead in trying things and coming up with regulations, also with the Green Deal 2030, 2050, that we want to reduce certain emissions.
Gio, do I hear you okay? You're saying that European government is easier to work with than the U.S. government as far as trying new things.
Hey there, amazing listeners. If you're enjoying what you're hearing on our podcast, we need your support. It will only take a moment, but it would mean the world to us. Please make sure to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to share with one of your friends that would enjoy our content. Your engagement helps us reach more people and bring more awesome episodes to you. Thanks a million, and thanks for being part of the podcast community.
That's not what I'm saying, because it's not really working with them. But they at least are focused on regulation.
I want to be more green.
So here's really like, we as Europe need to go from here to here in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years, where they are excellently pushing.
Yeah, the good thing about Europe, to just explain, because you have all these different countries with their own governments, but the European Union tries to align these, right? So, and one of the big goals there is indeed climate.
Okay.
So,
and for you guys as a company, because you guys are also trying to make a little bit, you guys also have a bigger mission than just making money, it sounds like, from our talk beforehand. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, actually, first, before I would like to hear Gio finish the story about starting and like the vision and strategy behind it.
The digression.
It's actually sort of the same story, because I really believe that with collaboration we can push way more forward. So if we only think already how much waste there is in an organization, I imagine how much waste there is in the market. You have a lot of research where they say like, 25% of the trucks are driving empty and half of them are completely empty. If that's the case, then why don't we use the capacity? Because we all here talk about scarcity of people, of trucks. So we have too much trucks on the road with empty space, but we don't have enough capacity. No, we don't use it good enough. So the whole mindset where I started CtrlChain with was like, how are we going to reduce waste? What are the bigger problems, why we cannot solve it today? And then we go already into the beautiful story of logistics. We are a little bit behind. So what we really believe in as a company is that if we don't know what is happening, we need to gather information. But we don't have that information because we are not digital. So we try to help organizations to become digital. And shippers really want to be digital, and they are pushing to carriers that they need to have a TMS, et cetera, et cetera. Or you have beautiful systems where the carrier that needs to be paying for to work with the shipper to be able to drive the load, which is all not collaborative again, in my opinion.
It's
To
more
get together.
roadblocks. It's
Exactly.
more difficulties.
Yeah. So
Which means more empty trucks driving.
exactly.
Okay.
So what if we can develop software to digitalize the smaller carriers, where is the biggest gap? So we can gather that data, leverage that data to fill in those empty capacities in the best way possible in a sustainable mindset. Because then, bottom line, everyone will earn more because you drive less empty.
Yep.
And from there, we need to automate it because I think we're all really smart, but we don't have the computer power to do so many things on such a big scale. So are we there? No. But that's the journey where we want to go to.
Nice.
And to finalize that, if you talk about big trucking companies, they have their own fleet and they have their own data. So they can optimize their own fleet. But how much percent is that of the market? Because in the US, I think it's 1 million trucks of trucking companies. And 98% has less than 20 trucks. So if you see that 98% of the companies are small, if you can aggregate that, then we are really going to solve problems of capacity and scarcity.
You're right.
And that's the journey where we are on.
Quite the mission to accomplish, but it's a worthy mission that will make a lot more people in the space more money.
Yeah, it's a difficult one.
Yeah, because there are some people that might suffer potentially from it.
I don't think it's summer. I think it has a lot to do with being selfish, right? So if you talk about, you said it with the system, Keren needs to pay. It's all, everyone cares for themselves and not so much about the bigger picture. So that's why also we're completely transparent. Whoever uses our system, they see who the shipper is, where they pick up,
Driver name, license plate,
driver
trailer
name.
number.
You see everything. If you want, you can just go to the carrier yourself.
Yep.
If you want, but that is not the goal. So we need to make sure we add value to our shippers and to our carriers, that they want to keep using us in the middle, because if we can be transparent, but we add value to the whole chain, that's the only way to build a win-win situation in where, you can grow to that point. And that's the difficulty, I would say. It's not every company, we said, corporates, it's not specifically UPS, big corporates,
Yeah.
I think
public listed companies.
You're right.
Yeah.
Because bringing all these people to these kingdoms together, all these kingdoms have their kingdom, and they're worried about sharing information, and that to be able to bring that trust of information together is really how you'll do it and put people on the same team. Yet to do that, you need to have effective communication. You need to sit down together
And that communication is a hurdle, because a lot of people ask, the first question is, okay, CtrlChain, what do you do? But is it what we do or is it what you need? Because we can do brokerage, we can do logistics management, but we can also just deliver software.
Yeah.
So, but if I say that, like, oh yeah, but so what do you do?
Yeah, it's
So let's
too many
first
things.
understand
Yeah.
what you do in the supply chain, where you see improvements to get to your goals, because then we can elevate and tweak and generate, like, oh, this works, it doesn't work, that we can offer.
You guys are tinkering.
Tailor
You guys are
the
tinkering.
solution
Yeah.
with the capacity and capabilities we have. And it doesn't mean we have it today, but if it fits in the bigger picture,
Yep.
we can do it. So we have a few bigger customers who sort of journey with us, where we will be the people who challenge, like, hey, is this applicable for them or for the market?
Okay.
And we started really small, and I think you joined in 2020.
2.5 years ago. 2.5 years ago. Yeah. In November, 3 years. So we know each other 10 years now.
Let's go.
So
That's
I had my fourth job in UPS.
and you guys are business partners, and that brings you close. You guys know each other well.
The thing is, so I moved to Brussels back then. You left UPS. I moved for UPS to Brussels, and then. But I knew he started his own company. We kept in touch. So I've seen the first office, which was
This room.
this room basically. not size 5.
Yeah, the entire office was like this.
So, and I love the idea, you know, especially with the empty capacity, and make that visible, and using it to make the whole logistics more. It was small back then. You have shipments, so you send one express courier to a place, and they always come back empty. Because they do this one dedicated run for you, a pallet or a package, which is really urgent.
That's legitimately what Coyote focused on, of getting more backhauls for carriers, because that was a huge problem in the U.S., and that helped Coyote become what Coyote is known for today.
Yeah, and so if we can deliver the software for them to plan their fleet, we know the planning.
Yep.
So we have the data, can automate it. Now it's often load board, and the carrier itself needs to start searching, which load do I need to fill my backload? Why can we not flip it? Because we know already what the carrier needs. So why not aggregate the data from the shippers to fill up the gaps?
Yep.
So I'm curious because I want to hear more about the story of like starting off, Gio, from like you said 2017, you left UPS, and then you went to start CtrlChain. I know this is kind of like, I guess we're gonna go into more like the beginnings, and I kind of want to hear about like the European market, because I feel like for our audience, which is mostly U.S. listeners in logistics, like I think they're curious in hearing how the U.S. market is different than the EU market, and what are the similarities? Because like to be honest, for me, like when I started off as a broker, I didn't even know brokerages existed. I thought like for trucking companies call shippers, they get connected. Why is there a broker? And then you realize, okay, brokers have like they're required because, there's too many moving parts, it's fragmented. And then like, I used to think like, okay, how is it in Europe? Is it the same way? Like, are there brokers just as the same way in the US? And it seems like there are, and I wanted to hear kind of your story. Like you have this vision at UPS, but then you're like, okay, well now I have to like actually do something about it. Like what was your first plan? Was it to go raise money, or was it like, okay, first I'm going to,
how do I do
this? Customers?
Yeah.
And then like, how did that all expand to opening up the Chicago office? It's like, I really want to trek along that route.
And the funny thing is actually that at UPS, we created a funny joke and a story to be able to talk about value instead of shipping a parcel. So maybe a nice side story. In Europe, and for sure in the Netherlands, when you have a car, you need to insure it by governmental rules, and it needs to have a check every
4 years and then 2 years.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So then you need to do a full check of the car. They call it an APK. I will not go into the meaning, but it's sort of a health check of the car. And if it doesn't pass the check, you're not allowed to drive in it anymore. It first needs to be fixed or gone. So the funny thing there is like, how many times do we do a supply chain check? How healthy my supply chain is? And how do we do that actually for ourselves as people? Do we do a health check on ourselves?
Yeah.
Or, I don't feel good anymore. Oh, now it's too late.
Even just observing, like sometimes we have pains that we just kind of forget about. And like, oh yeah, I've had that pain forever. And so I just live with it, instead of trying to diagnose the problem or even find the time to think about it or tinker with it.
ePay Manager, powered by OTR Solutions, is a back office automation and carrier payments platform that revolutionizes brokerage back offices with their proactive invoicing workflow, a centralized portal that gets you out of your email. Learn more about ePay by visiting epaymanager.com or text ePayFC to 80483 to see what they can do for your brokerage.
Okay. Yeah, so that side story, we started playing and making more appointments, but more, we will do a free supply chain check for you. But for that, we need information.
It's like consulting kind of.
Yeah. So my business, what I started after, when I left UPS, the name of the company, Supply Chain Doctors.
Okay.
Where I did supply chain health checks.
Yeah.
And there I was starting to make my first money. And with that money, I could reinvest. And on one of the jobs I had, I met Jeroen. He was more like the tech background. And he wanted to also build like a really big system to help supply chain.
Okay.
So we sort of started to collaborate, and with the money we were making on consultancy, we were hiring our software developers and the business analysts, and with we had a company Chain Code.
Okay, chain codes.
Yeah. Now with chain code, we were developing supply chain solutions dedicated for particular customers who were paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then as that was paying all the people, we slowly moved into 50% starting to work at the TMS supply chain solution we have in mind. Now, there's where it started. A lot of things changed. We started raising capital, where we went to the venture capitalist market. At the moment, we went from the venture capitalist to a strategic partnership in the private equity. In that sense, we also have different views, different ways. And Jeroen chose to go his own way, and we chose to continue as CtrlChain. And one of the steps with the strategic partnership was the US. To go there. So I didn't know the difference between the US and Europe either. As you said already, but what you feel, sometimes you forget it, but what you don't know, you don't know. So, I think you can jump in as well on the European part, but we are so used to, in transportation, to work with the guy I'm used to work with because he's around the corner, he's easy to connect, he can walk over. We always say we work with the people around the church because it's close and trustworthy because we know them, we can go, hey, I don't like that.
You can talk, you can communicate.
Exactly, which is perfect. And those people have a network, and that's their net worth. Here in Europe, if we drive 1 hour to the east, we are in Germany. They don't speak Dutch. If we go an hour into Belgium, they speak French. And in all Europe, we have more than 20 languages. So how, if I need to ship something to Serbia or to Hungary, and I'm in the Netherlands and need to be picked up in Spain, I'm probably already having 5 languages I need to speak.
So
it's all about network.
Incredible. I didn't even think about that aspect of it, of like working in logistics here. Wow.
So that's why, besides that the transportation market is fragmented, the brokerage and the agencies and all the layers creates untransparency, but value. The only thing is logistics is continuing. And with all due respect, all those people with all that network who exactly know who to call, they also getting older and going in the next phase of their lives. So how are we going to transfer all that not digital knowledge? And how are you going to prepare your business as a shipper, as a carrier, to maintain what you do with the same level or even maybe better? Because we have seen a big shift. Yeah, well, of course, the 2000s with the internet bubble and everything. Right, you already touched base on the B2C at UPS. We as consumers, for sure, my age, but if I look at my cousins from like 12 years old or younger, they don't know better that they go on their phone, on their iPad, order something, and that they know exactly, it's packed, it's shipped, it will be delivered, here it is. And
they see a little thing moving across their screen of how far it is, it's picked up.
So, with all due respect, most of the DMUs or people who are working in the logistics department, how many know where that pallet is from $100,000 at this moment in a group H or in a truck or whatever? It's a completely different mindset, but we trust because I know you're from around the corner and I can call you. But those people who are now ordering everything, they are the future. They will be the new DMUs. They will be the new buyers. They have a completely different perception of how things should go and what serves. So it's beautiful that we have visibility tools, but nobody's going to look at a screen with 100 or 2,000 trucks.
That's right.
It's all about, do I get information when something changes, when I not even know that I want to know it, because that's they are used in the way of B2C.
And honestly, we have quite some data by now, right? So we keep on expanding the system that we use in which we capture all this data. And we also had people in here that said, "Oh, this carrier is so good." And now, once you can pull all this data and you see the actual numbers of like, they're not good now because it's purely a feeling, you know. So I think also data enriches yourself, you know, with new insights. And I think especially for the bigger companies, it can be very valuable if you have more complicated.
Well, I think for the viewers, because we got to see a tour of pretty much the product that you guys have come up with, and the team at CtrlChain, they've created a beautiful platform that's internal for them currently, and it's for their customers and their carriers that they can go in and they're measuring their carriers, and they can mark how many times this load was not ready. And so like they got really good metrics on that shipper. That guy's dropping the ball a lot at this thing for this reason. And so they can come in, meet with that shipper and be like, yo, you guys, for some reason, something's like, there's a problem here. Like we talked about with the body, like they just kind of forget that it hurts. It's just the way it is at the shipper and whatever, you know?
And the carrier get blamed.
And
the carrier does his two jobs. So how can I be on time at the delivery location if I'm on time at the pickup, but you don't load me on time?
Exactly.
Those problems are the same in Europe as they are in the U.S. Right?
Those are the same thing. But these guys are measuring it at another level, I think.
I would love to touch on those similarities. Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, no.
Well, I think there are three things globally. And the one we already touched is scarcity.
Okay. Really, scarcity of trucks and trailers.
Scarcity in general in supply chain, of people, of information, of trucks, everything. So
that's because it's not digital. Sorry for interrupting. That's because like if it was digital, there wouldn't be that scarcity. If it was digitalized.
It depends a lot. I think it's feeling, but if you look in for Europe, if I speak Europe, you have all these countries with all these languages indeed, but they also have their own economics, import, export.
Oh.
And there's not a lot of countries who have a solid balance between import and export. And then you have seasonalities as well. So during the year, you like take Spain, easy example. Spain exports a lot of fruit, but they only do this from November until like say end of June. They have a lot of exports up to the north of Europe. And then basically those trucks are already paid also for an empty return trip. But what they do, they are looking for trips back to Spain or south of France. And then for us, there's a lot of capacity in the market. Easy. Now, then the fruit season stops. They don't send their trucks anymore to the north of Europe. So they plan it differently. And then suddenly there's scarcity. And it's hard to get a truck. You pay a lot of money or, you need to live with. So it's also market dimensions a lot. And it also has to do a lot with the import-export flows of the countries.
Think about the U.S. with Christmas trees.
Yeah, Christmas trees from Oregon, apples, Florida. We have produce season in March and April.
Exactly. Exactly the same thing. And then, from the three things, one was scarcity. The second one, which we really start feeling, and also for the general public is known because of, we had COVID-19, is supply chain disruption. But supply chain disruption can be really big, can be seasonal, but it can also already be a small disruption from the carrier who is not getting unloaded at delivery point X because that point works with exact schedules. If you're not there at 9, you're done.
There you go.
You can wait for 2 weeks.
One big difference I've heard in Europe is if you're late to a delivery in Europe, like we just mentioned, then you're not going to wait 6 hours, 7 hours. You sometimes wait 2 days.
But some of it in the U.S.
I guess
with Unify, major, there's a lot of shipper, grocery.
There are, but
but there's
the difficulty with what you're saying. It's always people mention examples what they experienced yesterday. It's all about trends.
Yeah.
What you're saying, it's not like a daily thing. It can happen.
In the U.S.,
that's not like
in the U.S. it's a daily thing.
In the U.S. it's a daily thing.
I read so many reefers, in order apps, and I think our lanes were in a way that
we had a bullpen at Coyote.
Well, I'm talking when I had the trucking.
Oh, Country and B2.
Yeah, and so very rarely did I have to deliver
really bad, like CSX, UNFI, Pepsi, Coca-Cola.
Yeah, the Amazon.
Yeah,
everyone.
But the interesting thing is, for sure in the U.S., and then if you talk about differences, with all due respect, Europe is really small.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in 24 hours,
we're saying European Union. right?
Yeah.
Or
If we go from Germany to Spain, within 24 hours it's delivered with a truck.
okay,
But in the US, if you do an east to west coast or what,
3 days. Yeah.
3 days.
what I don't understand, and that's why we don't digitalize, we don't leverage data, we don't automation is not there. If the truck leaves too late, you already know the driving time you need,
It's gonna be late. Yeah.
the rest hours the driver will have. We have historical data on the road, what traffic jams will do, and we have actual data. So why can I already not say, at the moment I haven't been loaded, I need to change my time slot?
Yeah, and it's like, that's really kind of on the customer and the shipper receivers to do that, and they don't, and that's a good question.
All manual.
Yeah.
But you can automate a lot.
Are you saying that you're automating it right now in the sense like if let's say a driver will put in their system like, hey, I just got loaded in Chicago.
Our system is possible.
We are now at the arrival, so we just launched geofences custom.
Yeah.
So you can draw it around a building. So the system already automatically updating arrival. Now the next thing is, because we get some advanced data in as well from the trailers, which we're figuring out how we can pull this in a proper way that we can use it. Next thing we want to do is live temperatures, because we get the data. And then the other thing what we get is axle weight, doors opening, closing. So it's pretty easy. You enter a geofence, you arrived. You stop the truck. We see the doors are opening, weight is coming in, doors are closing.
There's a way to
leaving the geofence. We know it's loaded. So why, indeed? And then we already testing that with setting geofence circles around the delivery location. And then it hits one geofence zone. And then we have a system that calculates based on historical data and actual average speed of the truck and blah, blah, blah. It calculates an ETA. So we know already.
Nice.
If it's outside of your time slot, you can just send a task to whoever needs to do something.
You don't need the dispatcher calling, hey, there's still,
You'll have a
Give me a
tracking
little
team, it
point.
seems like, right?
Yeah.
You have a tracking.
That's it. Yeah.
that's great.
I mean, we have a tracking team because not everyone is on our system or using the app.
And you have a tracking team in Europe and in Chicago?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So they do all the non-digital orders.
Okay. I'm really curious about because we just discussed the similarities, right? And there was you said there was three similarities. There's a scarcity. The second one was what was the second?
The disruption.
Disruption. Okay.
To have one more example,
Yeah.
if the truck is on time but the trailer is not on the right temperature, it's a disruption.
Yeah.
So we have the temperature data, which means we can already say it will be there, but not the right temperature. So start loading someone else.
Okay.
And then efficiency again.
Yeah.
You are not having stuff stored unnecessarily on the loading dock.
Yeah.
You can use the loading dock, somebody else who is earlier.
Yeah.
So the efficiency.
And having good systems that just ping that up on the thing. We're notified. No one has to make phone calls, wait till someone answers, explain the entire situation. No more emotion behind it.
data.
So the issue here with data is, so we manage shipments for an X amount of shippers then, right? But the truck, the carrier that we have, they might have an order before that for someone we don't know. So you deliver for that customer at a location and they let them wait for 6 hours. Then you lose traction already. I'm talking disruptions. But we have no insights on this part, what happens here. We only know once we get the ETA yet, then they're too late. And then you can act on it. But so this is why we're also investing on the carrier side, because if we can get the carriers in our system in full, do their planning, then we know what's happening before. Then also our shippers can be informed proactively instead of until we know actually when they are arriving. So that's why we're not only investing on the shippers, we invest on all sides, all parties who are involved. Again, you need to get to a win-win situation, because if we own this data, we own planning, we know disruptions already somewhere else in the chain, which we can act on. What did I have?
And the third one
planning,
is
and then you can also control the empty, because you know the load and where they drive empty, so you can also start
Solving
empty.
a lot of problems.
And that's the
with
third
that
one.
Third one was which one?
Sustainability/efficiency.
Yeah.
And that's the collaboration where we say digital, leveraging data, automation, because then reducing waste, emission, that's what we then can finally solve. And that's the third one.
Okay, so you have the answer really to a shit ton of these problems, but now the wall behind the problems, like how to get everyone on this, right? Faster.
This podcast is also brought to you by Highway, the carrier identity platform that's revolutionizing how freight brokers fight fraud. If you want to focus on what you do best and leave the worries of fraud behind, it's time to partner with Highway. Visit highway.com now to book a demo. Highway. It all starts with carrier identity.
It's really difficult because it's a lot of change. And a lot of people, and that's a big difference in the US. If we look at Europe. In Europe, it's pretty accessible to talk within an organization and get a bigger picture. In the US, it's really, you need to talk with procurement. But then we already have not an aligned goal, because the company goal, we see it on the website, they want to be more sustainable, they want to grow. So how do you going to grow your business? So if we're going to grow next year 20%, what will be the impact for your sales team, for your operational team, for your warehouse capacity, for your manufacturing? And procurement cannot give that answer. But they have a goal to cut X% of cost. So we're going to press the lemon again and squeeze it. And we're going to go in the same discussion we always have.
Yeah.
And I want your capacity with the best performance for the shittiest price. And that's why we need to tender every year, and that's why we are shifting every year.
Do you see differences the way shippers work with brokerages in Europe versus the US? Like, were you talking right now more about US shippers, or is it?
This is more US.
Okay.
So I really see the difference in we cut to the crap. I'm not here to be best friends. I'm here to help you improve your business and get to your goal.
Okay.
And that's really now simply said.
And that could be anybody from a carrier, broker, customer, shipper.
And because we need to fix a bigger problem.
Yeah, what I didn't hear this week, for example, it's I'm talking to a new potential client in the US, and they are very loyal to their carriers, very loyal. So
that's good.
We should offer our managed services, right, and not so much our own brokerage services. But then the next sentence, she tells me, oh yeah, and they do an RFP round every quarter on their lane. I'm like, how loyal are you to your carriers if you keep on pressuring them on price and they
are loyal to you.
Yeah, exactly. It's the other way around. So how can you be loyal and then...
in Europe, that doesn't happen that often.
It happens per quarter. Never heard of
that. That started happening during COVID. I'm pretty sure. Like, they started getting more... Some shippers started...
we have in Europe, we had, of course, COVID. We had the war in Ukraine. We still have it. There are a lot of things are happening which changes fuel. So we in Europe, we mainly don't hear about fuel programs or whatsoever, which is in the US, I think, more
like
a thing.
The fuel accessorial or the fuel add-on?
Yeah.
Fuel search.
But that's why in that period, we started tendering more to keep the price fair for the changing fuel for the carrier.
You started tendering more. What can you like explain that?
Tendering, I mean request pricing.
Okay,
because we cannot expect if you give me a rate of 1,500 and the fuel explode in price.
No,
I cannot expect you then to keep driving for that rate.
Yeah. So that's how it works right now.
No,
in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, but in Europe, we just have the conversation with the carrier and the shipper, and this is what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone knows that oil is going up.
Yeah.
This is cost we cannot let disappear, so let's keep it more flexible in the rates for a shorter period.
You don't have in Europe like shippers that like give you a base rate plus the fuel surcharge? That's never... Okay.
We
kind of makes sense in Europe. In this example, it'll be good to have that in Europe.
We just spoke before we started with the actual podcast. Is it in US you have quite some central data also on fuel, and there's mechanisms and stuff.
Here's companies that actually do that.
Yeah, so we thought that let's do like a global type of fuel mechanism would be nice. Then we can also uniform build it in a uniform way in our system. It works. So we started to investigate with our carriers in Europe, we have quite a few, on, hey, what is your cost of fuel, what mechanism? And they're like, cost of fuel? No clue. So basically you have a few that know, but most of them are like, they get hired by these bigger guys
Okay.
They have no clue. They just get paid. They can pay their bills, eat and drink, and that's fine. So
Yeah.
that's. But
Not
there's no
Not
way.
measuring it.
But again, data.
Hmm.
So with the data we get, we know their fuel consumption, everything. So then you can also start splitting the cost to help them to understand their business better.
Mm-hmm.
Where that will help them to make better decisions.
So you still do that, like the supply chain doctors in a way, like where you get the data and you kind of could help. Like, can you explain that a little bit, Gio?
So if where I started with, we want to reduce waste.
Yeah.
We want to change and collaborate. That means collaboration is always two ways. So they giving me the data.
Okay. So trucking companies will give you data, right?
We digitalize them, so we get our data,
Yeah.
and then we will help them what they can do with the data.
You analyze the data, and then you give them like potential like
Your statistics, what your fuel costs.
you consult them in a way, be like, hey, maybe
Yep.
you should.
And that you can pretty far automate as well. So
Okay.
Mm.
You automate that kind of like it's
that's the idea. Because
And then ideally where you want to get is on your platform. Then when you're driving from that load, you're starting in Spain, you take some bananas up to the north, and then instead of coming back down with nothing, you guys on our system, boom, boom, have that data, have that access to, okay, I can just...
because they can actually see, if I accept this shipment, this is what I really gonna make.
Mm.
okay. Okay, so we talked about the similarities. Now I want to get into the differences, and I think we kind of discussed a little bit of the differences so far. But like, if we could like kind of like point out, like you said, there was 3 similarities that we kind of touched on.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a lot more differences than similarities?
You know what a big difference is for me? If I talk to a European sales guy or girl,
Yeah.
they tell me what issues their client is facing, what their goals are, how we can contribute to that, help them. And if I talk to a US salesperson, I hear RFP.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a major difference, I would say.
So like,
I get spammed a lot, and I'm sorry to use the word spam.
That's big.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But I get reached out a lot for people who want to sell me something.
yeah.
And the interesting thing is nobody can sell anyone anything. You're always selling it to yourself. So if you not help the other one to sell it to themselves, how are you going to sell it? And you need to be really lucky that I'm actually looking for it at that moment. So I don't understand that people reach out to me, for example, ask me if you want to buy something where I not even know what it will solve for me, and then say, can I write you some more information on email?
They don't understand their own product, are you saying?
No, they don't.
Mm-hmm. They don't believe in it?
How can I offer you something if I don't know what you need?
Mm-hmm. Oh, they don't even ask what I need. They just start selling.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Listen. Yeah, listen, hear the problem, and then diagnose like a doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can try 50 types of medicines, but if you know...
But just throw medicine.
Wrong.
Yeah.
You can just use one.
Exactly.
Fix, right?
Exactly, yeah. So that comes back to the observing, really, and yeah.
I'm curious, does that comment tie to like the U.S. market or EU market? I'm just kind of curious where that came from.
I'm not sure if it's that big of a difference as I think it is, because I think GDPR kind of regulations in the US have never been spammed as much since I was.
So you spend in the U.S., not in Europe.
No, here it's way more targeted.
More targeted.
Almost not happening.
There's like the laws against like selling data and stuff. Like it's a lot easier to access people's data, like emails, numbers, all that stuff in the U.S. Okay, so that's one of the big differences.
And in a way of building relationships.
Okay.
Because we're not there to sell, we are there to help companies improve to get to their goals.
Can I ask you something? Go ahead.
Finish your thought, Joe.
Market-wise, I think also there are regulations a lot. So if we look at the trucking market, besides the languages, if you cross the border here, you can pick up something new, but then you need to leave the country.
Okay.
Every 2 weeks, the driver needs to sleep in the hotel. It's not allowed to sleep in the cabin. The care of the courier, the driver needs to be back in the country every 8 weeks. The truck needs to be back in his own country every 5 weeks for at least a week.
Okay.
We have shorter driving windows. We have countries where you're not allowed to drive in the weekend. So you need to go around
Or
it.
during the night,
Or during the
or
night.
specific seasons during the year.
Or disruptions.
driving bans.
More planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, or in the summer, you're allowed to drive through Austria till 10, but in the winter, only till 8 in the evening. So you're complete planning.
Yeah.
Switzerland is not part of the EU custom network, so you need to have your custom papers, or you need to drive around it.
Which most of the carriers do.
Yeah.
So the most logical route is through Switzerland, but they all drive around it. And because you need all this.
But then you tie back to sustainability. Is that the most sustainable way? No. So then you tie it into the government, European, how do we want to... And that we cannot solve. But we can make it visible how much we
are
save.
here, so we can show them, here's the data.
Yeah.
That's the
Here's
future
the
mindset.
opportunity. Yes, that's the future.
Because then
mindset.
we can help.
That's kind of the mission you guys are working towards.
Yeah.
Except, like, I imagine we talked about our spirit animals a bit before, and you said you found out recently you were in Costa Rica and you found out your spirit animal was an octopus.
Yeah.
And intelligent in a lot of things. And so when we started this conversation, you also mentioned, like, you guys are kind of doing a lot. You guys are building this software. You guys are running a brokerage. You guys are doing a lot of things where most standard business rules or business people would say, hey, focus on niche, do one thing, focus just on that. And, like, I'm wondering if younger generations are starting to think, hey, maybe that's something worth exploring, because we go back 400 years, 300 years, and the captain of a ship, he had to be good with people to manage the entire crew. He had to understand geography and maps and cartography to be able to get to India from the Netherlands, right? He had to know finances to load his cargo on the boat, get there, do business over there, and come back with profitable returns. You get where I'm going with this. So he had to do a lot of things, and he was very intelligent, and he was a human just like you and I today, who has a ton of things going on. And those were probably some of the most intelligent people, right? And now, like, we're all just niche. Yeah. The same with the guy at Philips, I imagine, or Thomas Edison. A lot of these people, they had their hand in a lot of different things, in a lot of different, insane in logistics. Like, a lot of people, like, I'm just this, and they don't really, sometimes, to really understand the problem, you need to diagnose it. Like a doctor, I'm just specialized in this, and you don't understand any other things, like you need to connect things. Like, sometimes, like, you can touch the bottom of your foot, and it'll affect your heart or something like that, right?
Everything is connected.
Everything is connected.
And that's why I really like what you're saying, because it's all about control the controllable.
Control the control.
And so for me, it's really important because, yes, focus is good to get quick somewhere, but you get to where you want to be at that moment, but not where you want to become. Mm-hmm. So how you talk today to yourself will determine where you will be in 5 years.
Mm.
So if I'm now only talk to the people in certain groups who are working on certain things, then they will build what I talk about now, but it will be finished in the future. So if I talk only about brokerage, then we will never have the total system. Mm-hmm. So control the controllable is communication as well, and is messaging, the story, how you tell and share the story to certain groups within the company is really important, because otherwise there will be confusion. Outside of that, and that's why if you talk and make the joke supply chain health check, if I don't know the health check of the supply chain, then I need to start telling a story that we are not focused, that we are everywhere, because we are capable of quite some. Where if I know, then I can tailor the story. And the thing is, if you then look, you look to history, I think if you look at history, that history is repeating itself constantly. And although we get it on our studies and everything, we keep making the same mistakes. And if you then look at logistics, we have been trying to optimize processes over and over the time instead of changing processes. So,
and usually I think to build on that idea is because usually, like, it's a brokerage only focused on a brokerage and a brokerage, like, is there, like, I imagine if you were the owner of a shipper and a receiver and a customer supply chain, and then you opened a brokerage, and then you opened a carrier and a trucking company, like, we have laws against that because that's vertical monopolization. But in some ways, you would understand that product at a completely different level. Yet, that is freaking hard for a human who also has a ton of distractions on their phone and life. And
it's all about root cause analysis. And what a lot of companies do offer a service to a shipper or a carrier, they are mainly in the horizontal supply chain and not the end-to-end. So, and that's what I say a lot. If you want to get something you never had, you need to do something you never did. And I think that is a really big shift which needs to happen in society because history is repeating itself constantly because we
do the same,
say different things, but we do the same thing. So if we really want it, we need to start doing things different.
To get back to your question, we would never be where we are today if we were focusing on a niche only.
Yes.
Like a specific product and a specific trailer. And so we would never be where we are today. And then coming back to why you guys started the company back then, right? What impact can you have if you focus on this unique little part of the... So the supply chain, all supply chains global are good for 24% of all CO2 emissions globally. 24%. And if nothing changes, that will grow to 40% by 2050. That's what will happen. So, and then we want to make an impact. I'm not saying we will, in the next few years, be able to do it, but this is our vision, right?
Yeah.
This is what we want to achieve. And then if you focus on the niche only, what is your impact? That's basically nothing.
And then if you look globally, we are all talking about the emission part everywhere. And we say that we are changing things, but we are changing processes. And that's why it will grow from 25 to 40. Instead of that, it will stop being in...
We're not changing the real problem.
Yeah.
We're changing
Buying more, we're shipping more.
And our shippers also want us to do more because they have what we offer today. And I honestly, I think we have quite a unique system and service. I think it's, compared to what is available in the market, pretty cool. I'm not saying because I work here, but I...
No, legitimately. Like, we've met with a lot of people, and not a lot of people are focused on the same mission, or anybody for that fact that I know. So, yeah, that's interesting.
Exactly. Digitalizing is one, but then AI, automation, all that stuff, and keep on developing what you have. So, of course, our shippers say, well, I have all this spent on logistics in different modalities and services. You only do this. Well, how can you help me on this? So, which is good, right? Because clients like these help us to get to where we want to be. So it goes from two ways, right? So if you want to make an impact, you should be an octopus.
Yes.
And
Or a
but also
captain.
our clients ask us to be one and help us more broader.
You guys are listening to your clients. Yeah, that's right.
And working with your clients to grow.
Also co-developing.
Ameripol offers a solution that helps reduce staffing costs by over 50% without sacrificing quality. Visit transport.ameripolstaffing.com to discover how Ameripol can help your business operate more efficiently.
And I imagine it makes things harder for you guys, yet that's how you actually make a big impact.
You have a big, hairy, audacious goal, vision. So
It goes a little bit slower than
you'd want it to, but
people want, investors want.
it's a 10 to 25 year vision. That's the way I see it.
If not 50, 100 a year.
I think Bart made a comment when he just started that he had the feeling that logistics is still in 1990 and that we are building something for 2045. And what we're selling today is already 2030, and that the gap is too big.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And it sometimes is, because we have literally people, there's actually a lot of work and need, but it's scary.
I know what the unique aspect with CtrlChain was that the sustainability part of it, which is for every load with the CtrlChain, like there was you compensate for whatever the emissions were, right? And you'd plant trees with the foundation, I think, just dig it. But I'm curious. I think that's really cool, and I like that you have that sustainability approach. I know in the U.S. there's more and more talks of it, especially with the Fortune 100 companies, the ones that are publicly traded, like the Walmarts, Targets, all these huge corporations that have initiatives to be carbon neutral, I think by 2040, 2050 or so. I'm curious, because here in the EU, you mentioned that you have the European Union with the 2030 Green Deal, the Green Initiative. I'm curious, have you noticed the shippers' approach in the U.S. when you talk to them? Are they more open about the sustainability stuff, or more or less the same, or less? How is it compared to the shippers?
I would like to say that it's exactly the same process as in Europe.
Okay.
Only Europe is a few years ahead.
Okay.
But if I go 5 years back, it was exactly the same as now in the US.
So what is that process like?
We need to talk about it because it's on our agenda. It's something what is for our brands because we need to look good. And Europe, I now notice, but that been because you are closer now to Europe than me, is that there are actual roles who are really focusing in organizations to really find gaps and implement strategies to get where they want to be. They are still behind, but they are working on it. But they don't connect it to business goals. So it's in their values, but not in their goals. So they will not say, oh, yes, I'm going to work with you because of that. No, it's still price. And that's a nice to have. In the US, how I see it, it's still in the phase, and I'm talking about 90%. So I'm not, it's still in the phase, we spend money on the marketing and on projects, but we're not really embedded in our supply chain and company goals and ethics. And that's why we here chose to not give an option like, hey, if you ship with us, you have an option to offset.
Yeah.
No, we said we will do it because at this moment we don't have enough data to prove what we are saving. But although we don't have it, we're not going to sit still. We offer companies to join. So everything what we drive, we offset. And if you want to join for 25, 50, 75, 100%, we will put that on top as overcompensation because that will flatten the curve here in. And also there you don't really see much.
I think in Europe, so what changes now? I think a few years ago we were in the same position as you described the US, right? So you see it big on their websites, and I still remember I was in sales myself at UPS, and you call a company, hey, I see you have sustainability. Yeah, it's just for branding purposes.
Everyone, that's
Right?
how the
So, it looks nice, but the big change now in Europe is indeed there is this agreement on reducing the whole impact of all countries together in Europe, and it starts now with reporting. So companies need to start reporting.
Chart.
No, every company.
Yeah. Sorry.
And they need to start paying taxes over their emissions.
But also traveling from home to work, those things. So you need to start reporting.
Really?
And
It's in whole EU or just Netherlands right now? Or is it?
Germany started last year, and then
Netherlands now this year. So, but it's part of it, right? So we signed an agreement, and how you execute on it, that can be a country-specific thing. So in the Netherlands, what you see, we have some bigger Dutch companies also have an European business. But you see now they start to do reporting, and then the next step is taxes. So you pay taxes based on your emissions. So so there are changes. So, but it's not like they do it because they want to help the planet. It's because
you have
the government says you need to, and otherwise
that's not the right system.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that? Because in a way, that, I know California was trying to do something like that. In California, usually has laws to the European Union when it comes to the tracking of emissions and stuff. Curious, what your thoughts are on that? Is that this because it seems like they're kind of overstepping a little bit, and it might be also hurting the economy in a way.
I think one end it's sort of okay because you're gonna push the people more to think differently. Other end, the consumer just will pay more because it will always be calculated back in cost pricing. So in that sense,
probably another.
What I don't get is
That's fine, Gio. That they so if you need to pay a little bit more
that's fine.
in the products you're consuming to contribute to that, that's fine, right? So
Yeah, but on the question, what I don't get is the part. The most simplistic thing is if you do something more efficient, it will cost less effort. So if we look at money, if we can change processes and do it more efficient, then it will cost less money. And companies are focused on profit and growth, but why not on the cost line in like changing that part? Because then you will start making money. And for a company, with all due respect, like us, we are not there yet that we can tweak all the buttons. But if you are a big multinational with a lot of history, I think they can get their growth only already in optimization internally and making changing the way of working they have been used to. But they don't want to because there are shareholders from the stock market who are, with all due respect, a little bit older, and they just want to cash and they not want to invest in longer term earnings because they will not be there. So there you have like the power of interest. Why would I invest in a to build of digitalize if my payback period will be 10 years?
I think it's all better
Because I want to sell my the shares and want to sell the
Yeah, there's better ways of creating the systems to achieve the goals and missions that we actually want to do.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. There's believers and non-believers.
Yeah.
You always have those. So there, I think, so to answer your question, I think it's good that governments take control.
Yeah. You think it's good
The
that
government is saying.
Otherwise, we are
it's
keep
usually
focusing on money instead of this common gathered goal of becoming more green.
But then the next level is now it's Europe. Well, what about China? What about India?
Yeah, they're not really.
Oh yeah, what about Brazil, Mexico? So how it's one world, eh? It's not like the Netherlands does something, so we are now safe. Our climate is
At least this region is doing better. We'll do better, I guess. But yeah, at the end of the day, like we are one globe. But okay, sorry, because I know that you, TJ, have a meeting at 2, right? So
3.
3? Oh, okay. So we're good on time. But I am curious about this government aspect of it. There is more, I guess, government regulation here, more control over, not even just the Green Deal, other initiatives too. There's more, regulations that you have to follow. And we didn't bring up this difference right now between the EU and the US, but one of the larger differences, and we talked to Victoria about this earlier, was the cargo theft in the United States. Like in the EU, you don't experience the cargo theft or the scanning, I guess, like to the extent as the US market is. I'm curious if, Gio, you could a little bit talk about that, comparing those two, and DJ as well, and then maybe potentially highlighting how maybe government regulation in this industry is mitigating that. I don't know. Like,
I think there are a few things, and Gert-Jan can go way deeper in that, but yes, I think the US is a little bit more digitalized, which gives more risk in cybersecurity because the maturity of logistics with the knowledge we have and the embracement of all kind of systems we don't know, creates more risk on ghost carriers and all that kind of stuff. And I think there is a way bigger volume going on in the US than Europe, but there is also way more volume in the US than here.
okay.
I think on Bulgari, like really hijacking, I don't have any background on that in the US,
Uh-huh.
but that is something what here happens with gangs who are really hijacking trucks.
But I think also Europe is more dense, right? You have more deserted areas.
Yeah.
The chance of something happening is also bigger.
You're saying in Europe it's bigger.
No, it's more dense.
So say,
In
yeah,
Europe, it's. But how long do you drive through? There are no deserts here, for example, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so there's not long deserted areas to drive through.
it's harder for the
Cities, villages, and so it's harder indeed to find the spot.
eyes.
It's still happening, eh? It's happening.
Yeah.
Also in Europe, we have also some public marketplaces for shippers and carriers, to place loads and they don't have
Trans-EU, I think.
Trans-EU, Timocom, Taylor Road, but but they all, I think, give the same risk in the end, because you can be a fake carrier, it happens, and it's a risk. But I think, from the US, and I'm not a US expert, but I can imagine the distances are so long, and you come in such deserted places,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's totally different in Europe. But on the other side, you also have, I think, countries here which are in terms of wealthy,
Well, yeah.
West Europe, Northwest Europe, wealthy area.
And like lower crime rates are in Europe than in the US, I believe.
Yeah, it depends on where. That's what I want to say. It depends on where you are. So it depends on the wealth. So I think Scandinavia, Northwest Europe were wealthy areas of Europe. The more southern you go, the more poor they get. Right?
Yeah.
Like south of Italy, south of Spain. That's not a nice area. It's not like you book your holiday there. We also have some Eastern European countries who are still, and there, the risk might be higher, but it's also not the biggest export countries we have. So.
Got it. Interesting.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom. I think you.
So you guys are obviously on a great mission, and you guys obviously have lots of challenges that you're faced with, and I don't want
big vision.
Yeah, big vision. Obviously, you're going to go through big waters. You guys have taken the ship, and you've set sail, and you're looking for that change, that new, different world.
Yeah, we are here for Game 7.
Yes.
We know we need to get to Game 7.
Yeah.
And we're not going to win it in the 4 first games.
Yup. And I imagine you've got some things going on. And so, we have a lot of people that have tremendous knowledge and backgrounds in the industry. Maybe there are people out there that, there's somebody that has this piece of information that could help you connect with this. Or maybe it's as simple as a shipper that's like, oh, I think that's really cool. I might have some pull. I might have some influence here to get you guys a meeting to maybe do something like this. Is there anything
we really appreciate people who are willing to share their story, and from there also to hear, hey, what's your view on it? No strings attached, no expectations, but knowledge exchange.
Truth, honest, transparent,
will create new insights and creativity. And even when they don't agree with a view, what you might have, or John or myself, that it will trigger slow drips in the water, which will start making their impact. I really believe that smaller owner-operator, smaller carrier companies, that's the area where if we can collaborate with them, team up with them, we can really make difference and impact towards the market.
So in the U.S., you would love for more owner-operator type businesses or businesses went from 1 to 25 trucks to reach out to you guys and be, hey, help, let's
to share their story, what they walk into, what their challenges are, and maybe we have loads, or maybe we can help digitalize them, or maybe just have a good conversation.
Do you have the capacity right now for a carrier to call you and be like, hey, I want to share my story with you guys? Do you have the time and the capacity on your team to do that right now? Because you got really, your team is big, but you know what I mean?
It's all about setting priorities, right? Where I think it's valuable, and most probably it's not like we will get 20 requests now on the first morning after I.O.
You might. Yeah. We just had that. No, I think that story that one guy posted in 100. Yeah.
Sales inbound.
Tell the story, please.
And in our newsletter last week, we had a shipper from Target, big store in the U.S. He posted sales tips for freight brokers when they're reaching out to shippers. And we took a screenshot of it and we put it in our newsletter and we tagged him. And he posted on LinkedIn that because of that feature, he got almost 100 LinkedIn connections because everyone saw that he's a shipper and he was giving out recommendations for freight brokers and everyone was trying to connect with him. So,
do you remember his name?
Eric Williams.
Shout out Eric Williams. Cool. Thanks.
So I think that's really important, but also from a shipper perspective, people that appreciate also the vision that we have right? And are open for, changes, innovations, and it would be great to get in contact. We have a few big global companies. I think we're very thankful to them that they gave us their trust, even though at one point we were so small, we hardly had anything.
Yeah.
But there were people that trusted us and built with us to believe in our story. Yeah, they believe in the story and they're still on board, And this is, that's for me a great story. And the good thing is we have also grown these but we're very thankful to them. And I think for those big companies, they also know they grow into something which is not for sale on the market now, right? So they also get their dream, and we can, go for our vision and dream in the end. So,
And it helps.
We've partnered with Ascend TMS, the world's most popular and top-rated transportation management system. You could use our referral code RA-FreightCaviar! To receive 3 months of Ascend TMS for free. You can click the link below to learn more.
Are most of the companies they work with here based in the Netherlands, or are they like Europe-based? I'm just curious because like with the language, such like barriers, and also culturally speaking, like there's a lot of various cultures here. In America, you go and, obviously there's different dialects, but at the same time, we're like, they're all American. Do you have like difficulties in maybe like talking to like an Italian company or a Spanish company, and selling them on a vision? Is it easier to sell it to like the Dutch people? Curious, like how that looks like.
Yeah, it depends a little bit, of course, on the language and the culture and the person. But we are pretty diverse from which country they are originally. And I think it's a good mix between global customers, European customers, and local customers.
We're still also quite active, Jeremy. Also, and we come from an international organization, and so at UPS it was quite normal. You have the management team for each country. It's just people from all countries.
Okay.
So they never build management teams from their own countries.
Okay.
You are with a lot of expatriates, together, and so you're used to dealing with a lot of cultures, and I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
Also, what I like here, we have around 40 different cultures here. So
Early in this office.
I went to one of the most diverse high schools like in the state of Illinois. And it was just like a melting pot of everyone. Like everyone was like, I had so many friends from like various parts of the world, and I loved it. Unique experience. So you don't have that problem here, you could deal with any shipper in Europe, for example.
Yeah, but we also have Japanese, Chinese customers.
Okay.
But yeah, the world is so small.
But the Japanese customers are typically shipping in Europe. Europe. Yeah. Okay. But like overall, so you're able to help out any of them? And
imagine an American company US-based company who wants to go to an additional market, Europe, and then a big market.
Yeah.
Why setting everything up? We can be your arm length for the logistics supply chain part.
And you also, if you could talk a little bit about the vision moving forward and how maybe it's changed a little bit, but I know there's maybe some warehouses in play or something along those lines. I'm not sure if you could dive into that.
With the strategic partnership we have with the company Newcold, we are really actively exploring and connecting the automation and data they have in the warehouse with outside of the warehouse to do more digitalized and automated. That will start with mainly the market they are in is food and beverage. Intros.
We were talking with Nunu and Victoria beforehand, and they were talking about how, there's a lot of new things for us to code on the coding. You guys have a big coding designer team. What route do we go into right now with our time given to us? Do we go into the LTL? And we can, a lot of your customers, it sounds like, have a lot of LTL opportunities, and you don't have that in your system yet. And so, do we go into LTL? Do we go into drayage? And so they're working on those. Are you guys involved in those decisions also?
Yeah. Roadmap on all, not in the little details, but roadmap decisions, yes, we are involved.
You know where you want to go to. So first you need to funnel it in the journey where we want to get to. With everything we need to think why it's important, what's the desired outcome, and how it's supporting digital first, leveraging or creating data and automation. So if that's already checked in the box and that will help to reduce waste, then if you look at priority, how much time and how much money will it cost to create, and what's the ask? So you literally also check with customers, what would you prefer? And if we have it, what do you do then? Because we can build it, but if we then, so it's nice to go into groupage and LTL, and then we build it, but then zero volume. So, and that's the trust we have built with customers. And I think we need to really be proud of and also continue on that, is often we know if we do something what already will be in the base in return. And that is also why we then speed up, prioritize certain things for customers. Because again, it's collaboration, it's two ways. So we do it quicker and you give us something back and we both go quicker to where we want to be.
Yeah, it's sometimes in a meeting or a simple phone call where you say, hey, listen, we're investigating to go into LTL. So how would that fit for you? And then immediately for some of our clients are like, oh, but once you start, let me know. We push it through your system, you know. So I think we have a very solid relationship with our clients. So that's, I think, a very solid basis for us to grow upon. And we would love to have more of these bigger companies who can help us to grow to that position in the end. But yeah, they are always open to start testing new stuff, but also pushing new service. What can go wrong, right? If you have an LTL service, the carrier doesn't change its service level. We just make it in one system. We give you one uniform way of tracking all your data, your shipments, and getting control and transparency. So if in the beginning, first 2 weeks, there are some bugs, well, the service is still the service, right? So
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing what we can do with our clients. And sometimes we also develop something specifically for them because they're okay, can you build this? And that if we see it as a fit for our roadmap where we want to grow into it, then sure, no problem. That's
And the next step therein is that we really want to start organizing roundtables where we put those customers together and they also start hearing themselves and each other. And in that way, then they can have more influence together on the prioritization. But the roadmap is not changing.
I love that you guys are a company that listens to your clients, who sounds like your partners, a lot of them, like very deeply, where, okay, here you're diagnosing, here are your problems, here's what we're really good at, and this is how we can help solve that. And then you guys do deliver on that, and that's unique and cool. And you guys, I like that you guys are fully, like, you guys are down to talk about everything, the transparency, like the honesty. That's huge, and so much so that you're inviting your customers to, like, okay, let's solve the problems. Like, what all problems here can we agree on? And you guys are like,
And we need to do that because if we are realistic, the shippers are pretty demanding.
the shippers are pretty
Demanding.
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 Sorry about
Language.
that got your attention, huh?
And often they look at the carrier. But when do they listen to the carrier? If you talk about time slot bookings to pick up at warehouses, it's all the rules and the systems are determined by the shipper. And whatever if works for the carrier, no, it's what works for the shipper. But that's already one angle what will destroy the performances because there is a lot of disruptions which you don't have influence on. So with creating those round tables and also listening but also feeding, we also hope to see that mindset shift that the shippers are not going to change it. All parties in the supply chain can change it. But for that, we need collaboration, digitalization, data, automation. But the carriers shouldn't be left out. And I have always said, like, we can only change it with the carriers. Shippers are willing to digitalize whatever. But the carriers don't have the capacity and the money because they are constantly in the RFP game, which is not fair. But in the meanwhile, shippers are demanding everything. So instead of demanding, we need to go to realistic change and collaboration and listening to each other's view. And we love to be the mediator.
Mm-hmm. And the good thing is we have a few case studies on our website as well. And there's also from carriers some case studies where you also see that. And that's a good, I think, touch point on what you said. We would love to get in touch also with the smaller carrier operators in the US. We also have some very nice examples of companies that grew that had like 10 trucks and they grew to more than 20 trucks, just by starting to work with us because we have very loyal shippers. Mm-hmm. It's not a pricing, they value the service. Of course, price is always a thing, but it's not the main thing. So also carriers that are willing, to get integrated in our system, and contribute to the whole transparency and making everything digital and getting the data in, they also get business from us. And it's good business. So the companies can double their fleet size just to start working with us in, what is it? Was it 6 months' time? 8 months' time? It was impressive. Yeah, exactly.
You guys could snap your fingers right now and speed up, makes the next 3 big things happen. The 3 next.
Why would you speed up?
Maybe not to speed up, but
the journey is the journey is the
experience. 100%. You're 100% right. I just I'm wondering the 3 things that if your mind could just boom, give me that answer to this or solve this, and what would be those things in your business and the hurdles that in the trials and the challenges you guys are going through? Which ones would you want to see solved? Is it just within create the LTL, create the LTL, create the drayage, and then give me the people right now that know how to manage that and do a great job? Is that boom, snap the fingers, and we have that, and we have great flows of income coming in there, and we have great people, and
we have some TMS systems, right? In the end, if we develop a carrier TMS, a shipper team as a system, right? Mm-hmm. Who is looking for that? We have no clue. We started to do a test on Google campaigns to see what if we just market it. Let's see if
the European market for both markets.
We just as a test, right? We don't have it, but just as a test, no response. So how do we? So if you want to get all these shippers carriers in your system, in a TMS system, so you help them in making their planning, optimize their planning, and the shippers also in getting grip, and so we want to help them with no clue how to reach them, no clue. So and I think that in the end it's quite a simple system, accessible, easy, to onboard new carriers and build. So I think it will be a great plug-and-play product, but no clue. Let's see, it's again a journey. So that's why I said, why do you want to skip it? Because I have no clue today. And I would love to get to the point where I was like, this is it. That's the brilliant part of the journey, right? So
you're right.
Sometimes I think if you could try this for free, why wouldn't you do it? And the answer on that.
So I'm a carrier right now.
Yeah, so go ahead.
So if I can jump into the future, then I would like to have that answer. So if you can do this for free and try it for free, why wouldn't you try it? Then that's a question I would like to hear from carriers and shippers, why they shouldn't.
I was a carrier for a good amount of years, and my honest answer is distraction, time, ease, I'm focused on just really my drivers right now, getting them freight and kind of stuck in the business, not having the time to explore and research and develop new opportunities. I think a lot of owner ops, small trucking companies in the US and I imagine Europe are really stuck in that phase of their business.
This is how the market is ever changing. Yeah, we done a research last year with an external company, Sata, and they also, so all carriers, they recognized, we need to become digital. Yeah, we need to do something on sustainability. None of them did.
Yeah, they we have so many distractions today, and don't have a really good set of ways to build a business and manage a business, because a lot of these business owners, they start it and then they're just sinking nonstop. I can't get breath, and like, oh my God, I got a weekend with my family, and then phone call, problem. This guy's not getting loaded at the shipper, this, that.
And that's exactly what I mean with, and what can we do to help there? Because the system can help with a lot of those things.
This can help with a lot.
But you need to do something you have never did to get what you never had. But that's the whole bridge too far story.
If I join today, does it solve me that?
If
I'm a carrier. How? I'm a carrier. I book a load with you.
Yeah,
so we can set you up for your external shippers and for our shippers. And basically, it works the same. So
set me up with your loads, you're saying?
No, and also your own load. And your own, which are not in our system yet. We put them in our system. We assign it back to you, you're the carrier. We don't care, but then you have everything in one system.
I see all your freight. I see your load board. That's weird.
We don't have a load board.
Okay.
We're in
because then you need to start doing something.
The issue is with a load board is how can a load board contribute to reducing empty kilometers driven? If no one takes a decision on this is the best.
So you give the algorithm what's the most efficient load.
We will say, hey, we think this fits in your planning because A, B, and C.
Because of the distance from where you were delivering last.
Planning, etc.
Our system knows on which, to be on board your system knows
the choice
on which lane because you are interested. Yeah. Our system knows on which lanes you are interested, so it only sends those to you.
Okay, you know that I drive all in
your business, but you can manage all your business which is not related to our orders, shipments. You can also manage it in our system, and that's just one system.
And that's why I said a week, because we need to set it up properly for the right users, which is a minute, but we need to know who does what in your organization.
Okay.
And people and change takes time. So we will need to have our team help you the first week and how to do certain things, how to use the system, because the system needs to start working for you. But if you then, as operator, still start calling the carrier,
you're not sticking to the framework.
So we always say, like, hey, give us a week to work together because we need to start changing behaviors. Because customers start with us, and then the first thing they send us an email, what's the ETA?
Old habits die
exactly.
hard.
So, yes, I can say, we solve it with ours, but if you then not change your habit, so...
That's where you guys got to get into the habit change business, baby. But I think that's another topic, though, which is, I think...
We can do a complete podcast on only habits and logistics.
Not only logistics. It's a human thing. So we're like also animals, so we take the easiest.
No, I mean, you look at the habits you do today, and then you'll see where you will be in 5 years. And like the same way we look at the world, the habits we're doing today, the way we're running around Switzerland. But
that's a nice thing. This is how I approach always changes in my life, right? I always think whatever decision I make today, let's look back at it forward 3 years from now.
If I stick,
if then I'm happy with the decision I made, it was a good decision. So I've made some decisions here.
Give me an example.
Well, I went to a small startup company. I worked for a big billion euro company. Global, and
that's a huge
my job, and I said, let's do this, it's cool. And then my family and friends are like, what are you doing? You have all the stability, and then you just let's see it 3 years from now. If I'm happy with the decision I made, it's good, So,
and that's probably the beefiest habit of all, where you work, because you spend 80% of your week or 70% of your week of your awake hours doing that work.
My wife went when I started at UPS as an account manager. It's in 2009. I started there in sales, and then my first year I did very well, so I got a promotion. But by doing well, you also get sales bonuses. So you just have everything fine, perfect, and good numbers. So, and then I got a promotion. You start from scratch. And I said, I take it. So I come home and I said to my wife, good news, I have promotion. And she said, but you just were at the position. You would earn a lot of bonuses, let's see, it's investing in your future. But then a year later, I did very well again. and they gave me another promotion. So I come home, and again, my wife, what are you doing? It's the second time now, and I did it. I did it in total 5 times.
Because every time it's disrupting your habit of but you're learning something new at the same
Exactly.
time.
Yeah.
And you're growing.
Personal development, and also you want to achieve something. You have ambitions, and I think Gio has a very good ambition also with the company. So I believe in that. That's why I joined, and we're almost at 3 years from.
Yeah, and then we need to do it.
And I can look back, So
I think their growth mindset is really important. And what you see a lot in general is that instead of that we look on my decisions which I made and what I could have done differently to get more progress and more growth over, but they or them or he or she blaming things instead of learning yourself.
Observing, diagnosing again.
Because it's not about blame, it's about growing from experience.
One question that I've been trying to ask myself to improve on that is like, looking back at the last 90 days, what is some things that I've been doing, or even looking back at the past week, what is something I did this week that I wish I didn't do it? If I didn't do it, I would have had a better week. Or like, I was watching YouTube videos late up until like 11:30 p.m. I didn't wake up with my goal of 5 a.m. and go for a run and do that. And like, I've seen how that affected my entire week. And then taking the time to think about that week, finding that time, fighting for that time to think about the week in the past. Now I can prepare for the week ahead and hopefully live a better life. And it's the little things sometimes like that. And so now going back to that broker and that carrier, then the customer, if that customer like, okay, this is the system, trust the system, and like somehow thinking of a way to change their habit, or like, don't email me, check there, you got that answer right away. And if you don't, we need to fix something, right?
It's really simple. And maybe that's even a really good closure, but I'm not saying that anyone is doing anything wrong. We as CtrlChain think we together can do it different. If you see it differently and you want to keep doing it, or in a completely different way you want to do it, that's fine. But don't complain. And that's in logistics, a thing. Everyone keeps complaining about how busy, blah, 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 that they are not doing anything to change it. So again, if you want something, but you don't change anything, it will never happen.
That's right.
And that's exactly the example you said. It's all about acceptance. That you accept that you scroll through YouTube or whatever, that's fine. But if you want to get a certain goal and you see it's impacting to get to that goal, then you weigh, is it worth it?
Yeah.
And then you say, I change or accept. And a lot of logistics companies, people, processes is accepting because they not really want to change, because it's actually comfortable.
Yes.
Because now at least I know what will happen.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Everyone's in their comfort bubble.
yeah, and it's your job to disrupt that for a better life then. Because sometimes you break that bad habit and you suddenly uncover, whoa, suddenly I'm fit, or like I can, I weigh this much, or
My company's doing that.
my company's doing better. And it's like 100%.
Yeah.
And we all make mistakes, and we need to make mistakes to keep on learning to make the next steps.
Yeah. And like, that's why the best sports, like Mike Tyson, when he was at his top, every day after training, him and Customato, his coach, would sit down and they would look at the greatest boxers, and not even the greatest boxers, Jack Dempsey. And instead of watching TV, Mike Tyson and his coach, they were analyzing and watching past tapes of other fighters. Oh, I can pick that up. Oh, I can do that better. I work on that thing. And then they go back into training and work that habit again. And then suddenly, at 21 years old, he's the heavyweight champion, most famous person of the world. And his habits were nailed, spot on, focused, no distractions, living in the Catskill Mountains. As soon as Customato passes away, Mike Tyson gets a little bit of distraction, already now has fame, etc. And that career life gets more chaotic.
So that's what every sport is. Like, if you see the evolvement of sport and you would dive into how the athletes trained 50 years ago and how they are training today. That difference in program and in details is also why we now have still breaking world records. because they're constantly changing and improving what they do.
And looking at what wasn't working. Yes.
Day
yes.
over day.
Yeah.
You're right. And we need some of those athletes in logistics
And
and
that-
supply chain.
And that's why building companies, running companies, and logistics is also a top sport. We don't look at it as top sport.
You're right.
Yeah. Control the controllables.
Control the controllables. Welcome to the control.
Yeah, like your shirts.
DJ, thank you so much for having us here. This has been amazing.
Is there a logo in the back?
There is one.
Yeah, right. Okay, good. I know the Freight Caviar has
It's good that you ask after you do it.
Yeah, and by the way, we're Freight Caviar. This is CtrlChain. For anyone tuning in and super confused, I don't know. But, I mean, if you're watching this, you're probably smart enough to figure that out. Anything else, gentlemen?
Hey, thank you. Thank you for a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming by.
Thanks a lot.
And keep on doing what you do, guys.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Every time I interrupted, thank you for bringing me back and not letting me digress. If there's anything that you guys want to see, other questions, any like topics, anything, let us know. And like we're down to also look at what we're doing not the best, and then what we can improve on and make this more valuable to you, baby. Thank you. Cut it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Daily Freight Caviar podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, or if you didn't, leave a review. Let me know what you think. I appreciate any feedback. If you'd like to have more Freight Caviar content, go to freightcaviar.com and subscribe to my email newsletter.